Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth, and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
I'm a sock puppet that looks like Julia, and I'm here to announce that Big Julia can't be here, and I'm gonna stop existing once this bit is over. Big Julia's really sick right now, and she's resting.
Thank you, sock puppet Julia.
You're welcome, yay!
And I'm Adam, and I came up with the sock puppet joke, so I don't have a joke about how I'm watching this for the first time ever. What I do have is this really awesome bookshelf that I've installed in my room, and it's got some like Fraggle Rock books on it, so I'm going to go ahead and just take this one out. Oh, that book is a lever. Oh my god, the bookshelf is opening, and someone's coming through. Oh my god, guest, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Bob, and I'm the guest.
Welcome.
Oh, listeners, the Robert Sandler is here, the guy who wrote the episode we're talking about today.
Bit of an undersell there, Bob. Thank you.
Just some guy named Bob.
We're so happy to have you here, genuinely. This was a delight of an episode to watch, and I'm really excited to get to talk to you about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, we're talking today about episode 16 of season 3, The Battle of Leaking Roof, which originally aired on April 15th, 1985, written by Robert Sandler and directed by Eric Till.
Fantastic. Do you have anything you want to say just sort of about like what you had in mind as you were approaching this one, or do you want to just kind of dive right in?
Let's dive.
Excellent. So we start off with Doc trying to teach Sprocket how to be a guard dog, but Sprocket has laryngitis, and so Doc says he has an idea. He says if Sprocket sees something strange or unusual, Sprocket should wag his tail, and then Doc will bark for Sprocket.
Mm-hmm.
And Sprocket makes the face that we would all make if a grown man casually offered in earnest to bark for us. And so Doc does this, and then Sprocket looks at him the same way that we would all look at a grown man who then follows through and barks for us. But the line that this scene lands on is he says they're going to go out and watch for prowlers. And I think that's the key thing, because this is an episode about safety and the role of people whose sort of job it is to try to keep people safe, and how sometimes that can wind up being really silly if you're not actually thinking about it.
Mm.
Yeah, silly, the operative word here.
Yes. Silly being the operative word feels kind of like default mode for Fraggle Rock episodes.
I mean, yeah, but
a base layer of silliness.
Well, very much so. But I think this is silliness through a very different lens, because most of the classic Fraggle silliness is silliness that's in earnest. They're
right
here, they're having fun. And this episode is all about how silly it looks if you can't be earnest.
Ah.
I was pleasantly surprised to see that we don't open up on the Fraggles. We open up on the Gorgs.
I was trying to write scripts for each of the different groups.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I did was about Wembley. Then I did one about Red. And I actually did one about sort of a guest character, the Mean Genie. And
Yes.
then this one was the Gorgs.
Ah, you did the Mean Genie episode too. That is perfect.
Yeah.
Ah, I love that episode. That episode ruled.
Yeah, the ones we've talked about so far that Bob wrote are Wembley and the Great Race,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Red-Handed and the Invisible Thief,
Yes.
Wembley and the Mean Genie, and now this one. And then we get 2 more before the series is over. Yeah.
I'm excited. I haven't seen those yet, but there's some through lens through that. You seem to have a lot of really interesting things to say about self-image, and also about the misuse of power that happens a lot, and sort of the personhood behind that. And that I just really appreciate.
It all went over my head.
I mean, clearly it all came out of your head. So, so Pa Gorg steps in a bucket, and I love this because this isn't just, hey, here's the problem. This is someone reacting to the symptom of the problem. So we get to organically, as the viewer, follow this chain of events to realize, oh, the problem is there's a hole in the roof, and the bucket's there because Pa Gorg put it under the hole to make sure that, nothing would flood. Fortunately, the cold air still gets through, and so Ma has a cold. She tells Pa to fix this hole because he's been putting it off.
Yep. And in classic Pa fashion, he both tries to get out of it because he doesn't want to do the work himself, but also tries to... Ma says she's going to do it herself. And he says, oh, a queen fixing a roof? Climbing a ladder using tools? No, no, no. Your place, my dear, is in the kitchen baking things, not fixing leaks. I'm like, oh, okay, we've got Pa. Like, this is classic Pa.
Mm-hmm. I want to break this down just a little bit more because we've seen Pa bluster before, right? We've seen him get big and and we've also seen him kind of try to shiftily get away from stuff. This is a new reaction. We see him like covering up fear. You get to see him like on the roof. It's dark and there's a storm coming. Like he gets scared, and then you get to see Mom threaten, not offer. She threatens that if Pa won't fix the roof, she's going to. Mm-hmm. And apparently, his wife breaking gender norms is even scarier than heights.
I understand where that comes from. It's not only that she's going to do it, but that he promised, given the oath, and that oath is sacred.
Yes.
So he would be going back on his oath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when we get to see the solemn oath of the Gorgs or the solemn oath of the Fraggles, which are, again, both very silly, but they're taking themselves very seriously.
Yeah. One of the things I really appreciate about the Gorgs is that as ridiculous as they are, and as clearly as they are meant to, stereotype certain aspects of society that are not great, they're consistent. Like, there's a bit where they, sold their home, or Junior sells the farm, and they're like, well, he sold the farm. That's what we have to do. We have to follow through on it.
Yep.
And so you get to see Pa really wrestle with this because he's not just being lazy here, he's scared.
Yeah.
This is, I don't think I would have ever considered getting a Pa episode. Like, we've had Junior episodes, but getting a Pa episode is so good because it takes this sort of caricature and it humanizes it.
Definitely. Yeah, it makes sense that everything underlying Pa's blustering, peacocking about bravery and defending the castle and being the king of the universe, that of course there's fear underneath all of that.
Mm-hmm.
In reading it over again today, I think the breakthrough was thinking about he's going to get Junior to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Is reluctant because every time he tries to help Pa, it just ends up in a yell match. So I'm not going to help you unless you promise you will not yell at me.
Yeah.
That was huge. I had forgotten about that part of the episode. I remembered that, there was some conflict between Junior and Pa, and that Pa is trying to pretend that he's not afraid. I'd forgotten that this was the moment where Junior finally, in a way, kind of stands up to Pa and says, like, no, we've gone through this so many times, and every time you yell at me, I'm not going to do it again. And like, I was so proud of Junior.
One of the recurring bits we have in this show is that Junior needs a union because he's the one doing all the labor. And yeah, it's interesting. We've seen him sort of stand up in little moments, but this is the first time he's ever like put his foot down and also named the pattern.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether I must have seen previous episodes and that sparked the idea that, oh no, you're going to just yell at me. And of course, it's going to end up yelling, but.
Oh yeah. And I love the joke that you wrote here too about Junior keeps promising, you promise not to yell at me, you promise, and Pa finally goes, I promise I'm not going to yell at you. And then we get a song. And this song has some very interesting militaristic undertones to it, which I mean is very Gorg culture. You smite your enemies to the ground and all that.
Yep.
Because Pa says he's going to frame this as the battle of the leaky roof. This isn't just we're fixing a thing. This is a battle.
And I'm trying to remember whether I came up with that or somebody else came up with that. I mean, it works so well. Mm-hmm. I'd like to take credit for it, but I'm not really sure I can.
I mean,
that's fair.
If you were a part of the group that came up for it, the group is definitely getting credit for it. Sorry, I was a teacher and it shows.
I say it partly because I know we'll get to it, but some of the very best ideas of this show came from other people. And as a writer, you think, I remember asking Richard Hunt, who plays Junior, about some things. In the end, it's all in that script that has my name on it. So I would be a fool not to take their input. So I recommend to any writer out there, ask the characters. They will give you gold.
Oh, I love that.
I have found that the best art comes from jolly collaboration.
This is jolly stealing.
I love that Pa's swear is drat in Deuteronomy. I think we've heard him say that before, and I just, as an exclamation, it's just so great.
Yeah, it's got that perfect, God, what was the word they used for, Forsoothean language.
Yeah. So Pa's trying to get Junior to go on the roof, and then Ma comes out and prompts him, and Pa has to either admit that he's scared or just go up on the roof. Mm-hmm. And so he, makes like he's going to, and then Junior, completely oblivious, just follows after him. And we get slapstick in these giant suits as they're climbing a ladder. How they can they even see?
The slapstick in this episode is incredible.
Well, it turns out I didn't know it at the time, but there was almost a revolt on set.
Wow, no kidding.
It was a bit dangerous what they were doing. And they had suggested building a set of a roof, and then they would basically be acting on the ground, and it would just be shot as though it was on the roof. For some reason, that idea was turned down. So in those big suits, it was a bit dangerous.
Wow.
Yeah, I know vision and visibility was a significant issue that they dealt with, and I think it seems like they just were very careful to only be moving in straight lines up and down the ladder. There wasn't any, swerving except for one small little bit at the end. But even then, they managed to do slapstick. Junior headbutts Pa right in the bum and gets him up the ladder that way. And it's funny. It's genuinely hilarious. They had sound effects and everything.
Yeah, it's the part where they're on the roof. That is really, as I said, I didn't know it at the time, but Rob Mills later told me that, yes, it was a bone of contention.
Well, yeah, all kudos to Rob Mills and oh gosh, I should know who's in Junior's body, and I forget that. All kudos to yes, thank you, because that's got to be taking your normally difficult job up to the next level.
Totally.
Yeah. So they get to the roof, and there's a line here that I really appreciate. Junior says, "Wow, if you fell from up here, you'd kill yourself for sure," and they just said it. It's not it's a long way down. It's just, if you fall from here, you will die. Yeah. And there has been a push in kids' shows to not talk about death or to not mention it or to talk around it. And I think that that's a disservice to the children watching it, because there are heights that if you fall from, you will die.
Mm-hmm.
When I reread the script just now, that part did make me laugh.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it gets to be said very clearly, and it's a joke because Junior's just wow, this is amazing, and inadvertently says something that Pa, who's already scared, just freaks out about.
Mm-hmm. And Junior immediately follows it up with, "Oh, no, you'll be fine. Just as your feet hit the ground, you just jump up again and go, ta-da!" So Junior thinks it's going to be fine at this point.
So that was the first one from Richard Hunt.
Ah, nice.
That was his beautiful brainstorm.
I love that.
Giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah, it really does remind me of that urban legend that was going around for a while, where if you're in an elevator and the wire breaks and the elevator's falling, you'll be okay if you just jump right before it hits the ground.
Oh, right.
Which Mythbusters disproved
does
significantly.
Not work. Don't do it.
So Ma's outside, and she's planning to make a radish and garlic souffle, which sounds kind of tasty, actually. Mm-hmm. And she goes to pick up a radish.
We skipped over the postcard briefly.
Fair. I don't even remember the postcard.
There's not a ton to say about it, so
I don't think I took notes on that one.
A passing human bumps into Matt, knocking his hat off, and he says, "When I went to pick it up, an extremely ugly creature also tried to pick it up," and he sees his reflection in a mirror and startles, and basically it's a continuous mirror gag with Matt threatening himself. And
oh yeah, I remember that.
This actually happened to my mother was out with some friends and the guy dropped the program, saw this guy going to pick it up, straightened up, and he straightened up. So it actually happened to someone who was a friend of the family's, and that's what sparked it.
Nice. I love when those ideas come from real life. And of course, it fits Matt perfectly to assume that someone out there is
trying to steal his hat.
Exactly. And he has to fight for it. Like, no, buddy, that's just you.
And it's an interesting parallel. Usually the parallels for the traveling Matt postcard are kind of more surface level, but this is someone clearly posturing like they're winning a battle when the reality is just a silly little thing happened to them.
Yep.
But they're telling it like it was a great victory.
I think I probably looked for parallel structures when I was doing it, and then maybe veered away, but it was the easiest way to try to think of things.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I know.
There's been some episodes where we can't quite see the through line of like how the postcard connects, but this one was pretty clear of like, oh yeah, I can see how Matt's got a little bit of that posturing attitude that Pa has.
So Maz in the Gordon, she's picking radishes for radish and garlic soufflé, and she picks up Boober and then runs away yelling, "Save me." And Boober just sort of goes flying off and lands. And then we cut back to, she's going, "Save me, save me." And Junior and Pa are like, "We got to go down and help her." But Pa can't move.
Mm-hmm.
And Junior goes, "Oh, are you scared?" And Pa says, "I'm not scared." And Junior says, "Well, maybe I should go get Ma." And Pa says, "No, Ma can't know I'm scared."
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the key moment here. That's the like, I must bluster. I cannot let this person know that I have the weakness of fear.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit before that, there's a notable moment where, so Junior finally says like, "Okay, Pa, that's it. You promised you wouldn't yell, and you did. You can get down yourself." And I was like, "Go, Junior! Union of one!"
Heck yeah.
And then Pa immediately walks it back and he says, "I'm sorry, Junior. I've never told you this, but you're my favorite son." And I was like, oh no. He got so close. He apologized, but now he's starting to...
I mean, it is nice to see that Pa had to switch from, general verbal abuse to flattery.
Right.
And I always say, when you're writing TV for your kids, no joke is too old. Use them all.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't heard them, use them.
Mm-hmm. And Junior clearly hasn't heard that old joke either. He doesn't go, "But I'm your only son." He just goes, "I am?" Like, it works.
Mm-hmm. So Junior decides he's going to help, and he suggests Pa jump, and Pa says, "What's to stop me from getting squashed like a radish in a nutcracker?" Which is very visceral.
Mm-hmm.
So here came Richard Hunt's second brilliant suggestion, which is the tie the rope around your waist.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that is so good, and came from Richard.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that works perfectly for Junior. Of course,
Yeah.
tie a rope around your waist. Makes perfect sense.
And then I'll count to 3 and pull you down.
Mm-hmm. And then, and this is the bit that I love, Pa balks. He's like, "No, and he starts yelling, and Junior says, "You said you wouldn't yell, and you did. Get yourself down."
Yep.
Junior gets a union.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut inside, and Ma is cooking. And I appreciate all the different kinds of slapstick that we get from these characters. Because Ma gets in on it too. She's like, "I'll add just a cup of this." And then she does a big sneeze and a whole bunch of it goes in. And she's like, "Well, that's not just a cup. Well, okay, well, I'll add just a dash of this." And she has a big sneeze and everything goes flying. And "Oh, well, that's even more than that." And it's just nice to see her getting like funny moments. She so usually is sort of the driving force behind the funny moments between Pa and Junior. And it's nice to see her getting some funny moments as well.
Yeah, that worked well. Her thinking, well, a little bit more is better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see her rationalize the mistake. Oh, well, the more the merrier. More is better. Oh, this is certainly going to be a very big souffle.
Right. Setting us up perfectly for how that comes back later.
And it's a trip, too, because in her own way, she's doing the same thing Pa does, where she can't admit weakness or mistake.
Ooh, I hadn't put that together before. Yeah.
Me neither. You could be Richard Hunt.
Actually, no. I've always wanted to be able to pull off a very realistic face mask and do a reveal. It's on my bucket list. I've never gotten to do that. We cut back to the Fraggles. We find out that Boober's lucky hat fell in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
And he's super worried. And Moki's like, that's fine, I'll go get it. And Boober's really worried. He says, what if Moki runs into bad luck trying to get my lucky cap? It would be all my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that he believes in these superstitions so deeply that he claims personal responsibility through them.
Hey,
Yeah.
I had a lucky hat.
No kidding?
It was lucky, and when I didn't have it, bad luck happened.
Wow.
So I understand where that comes from.
You still have it?
No, but I have lucky T-shirts.
Excellent.
Yeah. And,
Gotta have at least one lucky item.
I had lucky underwear.
Nice. Calvin and Hobbes style.
Excellent.
But yeah, Boober says, now I'm worried. And it's like, oh, Boober, now you're worried?
Right.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to go out and save her as soon as I count to 500.
Starts counting very slowly, like, oh, Boober. His heart's in the right place. He wants to go save her, but he can't quite work up the courage just yet.
And that's like a really nice parallel because we're seeing, even though these species are very different, they still all get paralyzed on the face of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Reading it again today, I was thinking, wow, I really shoehorned those Fraggles in. They're certainly, they're not the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
It's nice to get an episode every now and then where we focus a little bit more on the Gorgs or the Doozers, and you just get a Fraggle or two, just to remind you how much these worlds are interconnected.
Mm-hmm. And you did manage to shoehorn them in with thematic parallels to the main storyline, so I thought it flowed very nicely.
Oh, thank you.
But so Junior comes up with this idea to move this ladder. It's like I don't exactly know what this thing is. It's like a weird A-frame kind of a ladder. It looks like it's on wheels.
Sort of like a step ladder.
Yeah.
So the first ladder is your typical ladder.
Mm-hmm.
But when it breaks, then you can't use it anymore.
Yep.
So he's basically thinking, sitting on this step ladder.
Right.
Can't come up with anything.
Yeah.
That was great. You get the visual of him sitting on another ladder that would work even better. And gosh, how are we going to get Pa down?
But then, of course, when he realizes, he can use it, he doesn't put it up the right way. So there's a gap.
Yep. And so he winds up getting a board to lay across the cap after trying to tell Pa to jump, and Pa's like, no way am I doing that. And so then he has to gently coax Pa across the board. And there's this great little bit where Junior kind of climbs down the ladder and is like, okay, come here, you can do it. And his head just sort of keeps popping up over the edge and going down and popping up over the edge and going down. And it's just adorable.
Yeah. And now this means... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say all the stuff about left and right. No, I meant my left.
Yeah. He's trying to guide Pa down. There's a really nice little bit where Pa's like, I look down and I get dizzy, and Junior goes, that's okay. I'll just blow out the lantern. And Pa's like, well, I can't see. And Junior's like, it's okay, I'll guide you. Which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Well, if what's scaring you is looking down, I'll make it so that you don't have to look down.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's dark. Problem solved. And poor Pa, not only looking down, but climbing down this ladder head first. Like once he reaches the end of the board, now his head is... Because
hold on, there's a bit before that I want to touch on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, one, we get a great bit where Pa's really frustrated and he goes, make up your mind, you dunderheaded! And Junior goes, Pa. And Pa goes, sweet, lovable gourd prince!
Yes.
Goes, that's better. But there's also a great little bit where Pa just goes, oh, Junior, I hate this! And it's a genuine emotion.
Yeah.
And that, we don't get those a lot from Pa. And it's just really nice to see that, even if it's coming from this, extreme situation, he's expressing how he's actually feeling. And then we get this shot of him climbing down the ladder, face first. Like, dude, turn around and back down. Come on.
I thought of that too, but I think the logistics would have to be impossible. Like, imagine you're in the Gorg suit.
Oh, you're so right.
You don't have the room or the maneuverability to turn around. I think face first was probably the only way they could do it.
That makes sense.
Of course, as a writer, I'm oblivious to all that.
Yeah. Did
I'll
you
write it? You just figure out some way to do it.
Right. Pa gets down somehow. You figure it out.
Pa gets down and it's funny in their slapstick. You'll make it happen. But the camera, speaking of collaboration, the camera cuts to look up at him and the tension is palpable. It's like very tense as he's working his way down this ladder.
Yeah. But it works. Mm-hmm. And Pa successfully gets to the ground and we get our second song of the episode.
Pa does a little somersault too on his way down at the last little bit. It's great.
Yeah.
And this song really feels like I love it when the songwriters can do a lot with a little. And I think this song is one of those perfect little moments because it's so clearly bluster. The song's not even a very good song, but the whole point of it is this man who did not do anything to earn this confidence is bragging and boasting, and in the middle of it gets startled by like 3 things in a row.
Yes.
Yeah, the songwriting was so good.
Yeah.
Really was amazing.
I'm curious what your thoughts on sort of Gorg culture were here and why Pa being afraid is something that you wanted to explore, given that Pa is sort of the traditional sort of, puffed up patriarch who doesn't actually ever really do anything. Why you chose to explore like the fear behind that, if you remember at all and are up for sharing?
I don't really. I remember being in Barcelona and there's Gaudí's sacred church. And people were going out to look at this rampart and it took me like a half hour to talk myself into walking it. So fear of heights came natural to me. So I think that's where it came from.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's cool.
So Pa kind of digs his own grave here. He tells a technically true story, but he's like, well, of the 2 of us, one of us was scared and the other had to help that one down. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right, Junior? And Junior's like, yup, that's true, because it goes completely over his head that Pa's taking the credit here.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they never actually fixed the dang roof.
Right. Yeah, Ma says, well, it's certainly a relief to have the roof fixed. And then she looks up and sees, oh, the hole is still there. Mm-hmm. You guys were up there the whole time and did nothing.
And of course, the storm is getting closer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even a neutral environment as it was at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's even worse because he put it off. And then, to top it all off, Ma takes him aside and is like, well, if Junior's scared of heights, don't send him back up there. You just go up alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his sort of lie ends up biting him in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So he's out there and he's trying to bluster his way up the ladder and it's not working. And then he's like, oh, I have an idea. And he comes back in and he starts complaining about his bone spurs. I mean, his old war wound.
They were bone spurs.
Yeah.
What old war was that? Oh, I'd have to check my maps to tell you the exact war.
But so Ma's so frustrated, she just does it. And he keeps trying to be like, no, you shouldn't. She's like, it needs to get done. I'm going to do it.
Yep. Hyper-competent moms getting stuff done.
Mm-hmm, because it always falls to her to make it happen. And it's a trip, because she goes up there easily. She's clearly not scared until there's a Fraggle up there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, it's worth noting, she puts the ladder up the correct way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Pa says, oh, sure, it's easy if you put the ladder that way.
And so we wind up with this genuinely fascinating moment, because the stakes here are Ma's on the roof, and she's terrified, and she wants a rescue from this Fraggle. Pa has this self-image of himself as a protector, and also, genuinely cares about this woman, and wants to, get the glory and protect her, but has to actually do something he's terrified of to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
While
And
Junior is battling a killer soufflé.
Oh, yeah. And that's just such a fascinating setup. The tension here is so real and comes from such a genuine place.
Mm-hmm. And he has to really psych himself up to do it. He can't just like, oh, well, someone I care about is scared and in trouble, and now that completely overrides my own fear. No, his fear is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's what makes it more heroic, is that it's not that, it's that he goes up knowing his fear.
Yeah.
And it's, what he couldn't do for himself, he can do for Ma.
Yeah. He actually, even, this is the first time we hear him admit it, or the second time, sorry. He says, Ma can't know I'm afraid, but he says, I'm coming, I'm angry, I'm afraid. And you even see his legs are shaking.
Yeah.
But he does it. And he gets up there and he gets the basket, Ma does the handoff, and then him and Ma make it back down. And there's this great, and this feels like the other key moment here. He goes, I did it, and you never even knew I was afraid of heights.
Mm-hmm.
And she just goes, oh, Pa, I had no idea you were afraid of heights.
Yeah.
No shame, no huge explosion of idea. She's just like, oh, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we wouldn't have an episode if he had been emotionally intelligent enough to admit from the very beginning that he was scared. But at least he knows it now.
Mm-hmm.
You need a flaw.
Yep.
To overcome.
Precisely.
And meanwhile, Junior has been battling with the soufflé, finally gets out a sword, and eventually the soufflé just explodes.
And again, I can't remember who gave me that line about Touché soufflé.
Oh, yes. I love that.
So good.
Somebody gave it to me. And again, I put it in there, and people will think it's my idea, but it wasn't.
Well, Thank you for giving credit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turns out the explosion plugs the leak, and it can't be sanitary.
I don't think,
It's good enough for now.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where it just hardens up once it gets there, and maybe it makes a very effective plug for a hole in the roof. Who knows?
Quasi-ceramic kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So at the end, we cut back to Doc, and he's walking back inside, and as he's doing this, he's telling someone off for making fun of his dog imitation. And it turns out he's telling off Schimmelfinny, but for a second, because he said he's going out to watch for prowlers, I thought that he genuinely tried to stop a burglar, and then the burglar just started making fun of him for being so bad at a dog impression.
That would be great, but I didn't think of it.
It's all good.
But yeah, it turns out it's Schimmelfinny.
And he keeps trying to get Sprocket to say his dog impression is good, and Sprocket howls to cover it up, and he's like, oh, Sprocket, your voice is better, you're healed.
Yes.
And we end on a nice moment.
Nothing is to have his bark insulted.
Yes.
The indignity of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, at first I was struggling to see the connection between the Doc and Sprocket segment and then with the Gorgs. Then I thought, oh, of course, Doc has been bragging about something that he can't really do all that well and has now been taken down a notch and forced to admit that.
So here's an interesting thing. Eric Till, who directed it, later said that he thought that the script was better than the final product, which I thought was very sweet of him to say.
Oh.
Hard for me to see, but it was very sweet of him to say.
That's really nice. I mean, no complaints about the final product, certainly. But yeah, overall, I think this episode is a really nice one in terms of when we do get an episode that's not centered on the Fraggles, then there's usually some sort of lore building for either the Gorgs or the Doozers. And yeah, this one had less to do with building out the world of the Gorgs and more to do with their inner life, just getting to know the characters more. And yeah, like you were saying, we haven't had that from Pa before, and it really does humanize him.
Mm-hmm. It's especially as somebody who has taught children's literature and looked at how media conveys things to children. It's one thing to have a character who's obviously there to be wrong and there to exhibit this person is doing X behavior because X behavior is not good, and we want to make sure the kids know X behavior is not good, right? But it's another thing to take that not good behavior and ground it in the kind of, genuine emotional reaction that would lead to it.
Yeah.
that gives it that much more of an understanding of like, oh, not just this isn't bad, but oh, that's how I could wind up doing this thing.
Exactly. Yeah. How a behavior that we don't want to see stems from a feeling that everyone has.
Yeah.
I love those lessons.
Very good. Is there anything else you want to add about this episode or the writing of it?
Yeah. Or just working on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite lines in the script is when Ma says, "You seem reluctant." And he says, "No, I'm not reluctant." And anyhow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I wrote that one
like,
down.
I'm just regular reluctant or something
I'm
like
just
that.
part reluctant.
Yes.
Needless to say, it was a joy. It was a great writing laboratory. I learned so much from writing these episodes. And I'm sure you've gone over it 1,000 times, but what was interesting is that they edited in time. So sometimes you get to your favorite scene and they'd say, "Sorry, we just have to make it 15 seconds. And it wasn't an aesthetic judgment. It was a time judgment. And you just had to do it. Invariably it came out better. Or they would say, if you can't use a character in more than one scene, you'd have to either drop it or use it more. Same with a set. If you couldn't use a set more than one time, and it always made the writing better.
Yeah.
All those limitations were gifts. And I think that was, I'd always thought that limitations were a bonus, but that really was a lesson in it. You know, and sometimes you'd have a character and they couldn't come up from New York. So you'd have to rewrite it without that character. So you learned not to be precious. That everything was, the cheapest way to fix something was with the ink of a script. Can't afford it? We'll fix it. And for a writer, that's a great lesson to learn.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, normally at the end of an episode, we wrap up by thinking about some way that we can make the world a little fragglier with some takeaway lesson from the episode.
When in doubt, go for humor. Once you go for humor, it's really easy to put in sentiment. Humor sets up sentiment so well. They're lovely together.
That's good.
I like that.
I'm going to go with, if someone's yelling at you, you don't got to work for them.
Yes. I will say soufflés are very temperamental. Be careful around soufflés.
Always keep a sword handy.
Yes.
You never know when a souffle is going to get out of hand.
Especially if it's puppeteered by Karen Prell.
Exactly.
Yeah, the puppeteering on that souffle was phenomenal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Hail Mary?
Oh, not yet.
That's all. Yeah, I have not. That one's on my list, though.
But yes, once you work with the Fraggles, you appreciate puppeteering. Again, they really did make everything pretty much look better.
Oh, and it still holds up so beautifully after 40 years, you know.
Yeah.
Like the old saying goes, like the best computer graphics will look like garbage in 10 years, but great puppets will always look great.
Yep.
You know, and needless to say, Larry and Jocelyn and Jerry Jewell were fantastic to work with. You know, that again, their suggestions always made scripts better.
Oh, what a dream team.
Yes.
Alrighty. Is there anything you've been working on that you want to use this platform to let people know about? Anything you want to plug? Any, place that if our fans want to find out your work, aside from the work you've done on Fraggle Rock episodes, they can find you?
No, I mean...
That's totally okay.
I ended up doing 8 years of true crime, which is as far away from Fraggle as you could get. And sort of the first series that we did, which was in 1997, ushered in that whole genre of true crime. And I'm proud to say that those 2 series are still on Amazon all these years later.
Nice.
Yeah, so one is called Exhibit A, and the other is called 72 Hours, and I feel very proud of them as well. But again, a lot of those lessons were learned from Fraggle.
Incredible. I never would have expected that learning to write for Fraggles could lead into learning to write true crime, and that those same lessons apply.
Well, in fact, one of the lessons was, particularly in Exhibit A, we had a home base with a presenter. And one of the things Fraggle taught me was, with the Dock and Sprocket, if you exchange that in any other country, then everything else can be dubbed.
Right.
You can make things tailored to fit a particular market with just a little bit of ingenuity.
That's very cool. Excellent. Okay. You can find me on various social media at Beth Anna Cook. That's Anna with 2 N's. And occasionally writing stuff for Tough Pigs. I
recently guested on an episode of Moving Right Along. We did my favorite 2 minutes of The Muppets from Space. It was a wonderful episode. I have no idea when it's going to come out, but keep an eye out for it. I believe it was minutes 73 and 74.
Yeah. I'm sure by the time this episode airs, that one will be up.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was truly an honor and a pleasure to get to speak with you about this wonderful show that is still putting out ripples of goodness into the world even 40 years later.
I agree. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
All right. That is it for this one. Reminder to check out toughpigs.com. Give us a good review on your podcatcher of choice, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to dance your cares away.
Down at Fraggle Talk, oh, it's me, Julia the Sock Puppet again. Whee!
Womp.
Wow.
Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, and make sure to check out our Discord server, TeePublic merch store, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk. Ooh, I hadn't put that together before. Yeah.
Me neither. You could be Richard Hunt.
Actually, no. I've always wanted to be able to pull off a very realistic face mask and do a reveal. It's on my bucket list. I've never gotten to do that.